Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
File on 75 people, actually, different agents that I knew. You know, I put down what I knew of their goals, what they wanted to do, what their volume was, if they were at Nice Factor, how long they've been in real estate, what companies they're with, all that stuff for him. And so he got together with me one last time, tried to talk me into doing it. And I said, you know, appreciate all your effort, but this is it, Denny. This is last time. No. And he said, did you bring that folder with the names? And I said, yes. And he said, can I have them, please? And I said, sure. And I started to hand them over the table. And right at that point, when his hand touched the folder, no kidding, it was like an electrical charge went through my body. And it said, this is what he's been after. It's not me. It's these names. There must be some value in this that I don't understand. And I went, yank. And I pulled the folder back out of his hand. And I said, Denny, explain to me why these names are important to you. What does that mean? What would that mean for me? And then he explained to me their profit sharing program. And I remember thinking, are you kidding me? I've been looking for this for years. And you hit it I was mad. I mean, I said, you cost me a year. I remember that. And so, but it was after that I decided that I would join Keller in 1997. And then, so then I realized, you know, if you recruit or refer people or help the company grow, that you get a percentage. You get, you know, there was a formula. Well, their formula was the money that came in from they were a franchise, of course, and great idea at the time. And the money would come into the franchise. They would pay all the bills. If there was anything left over, it was called gross profit. They took that, divided it in half, gave half to the franchise owner and half to the agent profit sharing pool to pay the agents who referred the agents that did the selling, right? And it was all after expenses. So you really had to have a whole lot. And the number one lady with Keller at the time was named Althea, and she was making about $50,000 a year in profit sharing. She was a $5 million producer. This is 25 years ago, and grossing about 150, netting somewhere around 100. And she was making 50,000 in profit sharing. She'd been with the company 16 years. I didn't have 30 years to get to 100. I thought, you know, 2 times as many. So I flew to Austin, Texas to meet her. I always want to meet the top people, and you know, I don't like theory. I like fact. I like someone who's done it. I want to know who the best is so that I can set my bar high enough. It's just always how I've been.
Yeah.
And, so I flew to Austin, spent a couple of days with her and her husband, Bob, very enlightening, and asked all about the system to be able to understand it. Was it even possible to make 6 figures with them? No one had done it. No one had, you know, gotten half that in 16 years. So she explained the system. And one of the things I asked her was how many people she'd personally referred to the company over the 16 years. And it turned out she'd only referred 12 personally. You know, not a lot less than I thought. I thought it was going to be a big number. But over time, they referred others who referred others and who referred others, right? But she forgot to tell me that she was like amongst the first 1 or 2 or 3 people to even join the company there. She
Oh my gosh.
left that part out. And so I asked her why only 12, and she said because it was never part of my business plan. If someone asked me about it, I would talk to them. She wasn't really a recruiter in my eyes, right?
Right.
At least in the beginning. And so I thought, what if someone were to make it part of their business plan? You know, not just selling houses and listing houses and working with buyers, but also helping a company grow by bringing an agent or 2 every month and getting an override on the company profits. And theirs was on profit, which is great as long as there is profit. Many times there's not profit, and so you can't, you know, earn anything. There were times I remember when I had 200-300 agents in an office, but it wasn't profitable, so didn't matter what happened. You know, there wasn't anything there.
Right.
But eventually I started, my goal was to enroll 2 agents a month. And I said that was pretty simple because at that time I was basically taking 2 listings a month. And I thought if I could get 2 listings, I could probably get 2 agents, and I wasn't the greatest of agents in residential. I had to, my numbers were, I had to do 2 listing appointments a week to get 2 listings a month. So I got about 25% of the ones I went after, in the beginning, especially. And I thought I have to do the same thing with agents, And so my goal was to enroll 2 agents a month for 36 months because they had a 3-year vesting period. That'd be 72 agents, 6 times as many as Althea recruited.
Right.
I said that has got to be 100, get to 100,000. That was as deep as I went.
Right.
And so in July, 4th of July of '97, I joined Keller, and by Christmas I had personally enrolled 30, way more than I thought that I would. And those 30 that I brought, they weren't necessarily interested in recruiting, if you will. They wanted to make more money. They liked this new idea.
Right.
But I said to them, you guys know people I don't know. If you tee them up, I'll talk to them. If they decide to join, you can be their sponsor since I sponsored you. It's a win-win, right? And they like that. So in those same 6 months that I referred 30, those 30 referred through themselves and through me, another 120 that joined. So we had 150 agents in 6 months, which had never been done before at Keller. So we were told. And so Keller started flying me around the country to the offices he had, explaining what we did, how this Yahoo from Arizona in the Dust Bowl of Arizona was able to get 150 agents. And then the next 6 months, we had another 150 or another 100, 250. And so then he asked me if I'd be interested in being a regional owner, which I didn't know what that was. But that was Washington, Oregon, Idaho, where I then sold franchises too. And then I got royalty. He says, people have never recruited like what you recruited. You really got something going on. And, and he worked with me a lot. But my goal was to make $100,000 a year in passive income, profit sharing, so I could just, with no debt, having come off of bankruptcy, I had no debt. Right. And if I had $100,000 a year coming in, you could live pretty nicely, right?
Yeah.
So eventually my profit sharing got to, $5,000 a month, 10, 15, 20, 25, and, a couple $100,000 a year. And so I retired, and I'd been getting that for over 20 years from Keller.
That's awesome.
And then 7 years ago, a good friend of mine from Keller, Gene Frederick, gave me a call, and he said, and so in other words, for the last 18 years, we've been able to travel and have fun and see the world and, live off that residual that Keller, exactly what I wanted to do. And then Gene came along and said, I'd heard that he left Keller. I couldn't believe it because he owned parts of 6 franchises. He had a region just like me. And he was doing really well. And I said, what happened? And he said to me, when I saw, he said, I'm working on a new project in real estate. I sold his region, he sold his offices, and he said, I'm working on a new project that I think you should, that you would be a part of in real estate. And I said, Gene, I appreciate it, but I'm a no. I said, I haven't had to work for a long time. That was my goal. I was concerned if the cancer had come back. I was driven by fear, and it looks like I'm going to make it. But I'm just really not overly interested in doing something more. I'm fine, happy. I don't have a need. And he said, well, it's really interesting. You were able to get free. You were able to create enough income from the Keller program so that you could live on it for 20 years. But very few people have ever been able to do that, ever. And he said, with this new program, he said, this is a new real estate platform. He said, it's driven by technology that is going to change the real estate world dramatically, especially the way agents are compensated in a really, really dramatic way. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, well, if you do the same thing at EXP that you did at Keller, instead of a couple $100,000 a year, you'll be making 5 to 10 million.
Wow.
And I said, no way.
Yeah.
I know what it costs to run an office. And he said, well, that's the difference. Things are changing dramatically. We don't have offices. We're virtual. You got to see. And I said, I was intrigued. I didn't understand the virtual part of it because I wasn't a computer gamer, I didn't understand avatars and stuff like that. But when he showed it to me, and it took him about 4 hours, and at that time, and it was on his porch, and it was in a storm, no kidding. And he did it on napkins, and the napkins were blowing away. And and I thought, I'll never put that napkins in order. How am I ever going to explain this to somebody?
Yeah.
Thinking that. I didn't say that to him, but I remember thinking that. And then we had been out of real estate for so long that we had to get, our real estate licenses to get back in the game. But so then my wife and I joined EXP in 2016.
Okay.
And at that time there was about, I want to say 600 or 700. I think my numbers could be a little off, plus or minus 600 or 700 agents. They'd been around since 2009. They've been there 7 years. And they had 600 or 700 agents. And I came along and joined them in 2016. And in that first year, 7-8 months, I was responsible for recruiting 700, as many as they had in 7 years.
Oh my goodness, you doubled the size of the company?
In about 10 months. And then it went, my next year, it went to, I think it was 3,000, from 700 to 3,000 agents at the second year. Then I had 7,000 agents after 3, 10,000, 13, 15, 18, 20, eventually it went over 20,000 agents.
Wow.
And Gene was right.
Yeah.
He was exactly right. What happened, and our life has been unbelievably blessed as a result of, what's going on. And we've been able to help hundreds of agents to achieve financial security, financial independence, probably thousands of agents to get to develop passive income to whatever degree.
Right.
And I find you don't have to make millions of dollars like we do, but you can, if an agent makes a few $1,000s a month, that makes a difference. I mean, I've had to realize, you don't need big giant numbers to change someone's life, right? The same way why I do these scholarships. And when I can help an agent make an extra 1,000, 1,500, 1,200, 2,000, 5,000, whatever it is a month, passively on top of their sales, we generally get happy, more content agents. They're happy. They're looking and I look at it as, who can I bless? Who can I tell the story to say, you can develop an income stream, you can develop leverage, which is what it's all about,
right?
In the real estate industry, with EXP, which is now the fastest growing real estate company in the world, so I'm told. In fact, last year, I'm told that Inman News reported that last year, for the first time, EXP closed more transactions than any other company in the United States. And so the things we're onto something that's working, that's very well. Agents are selling more, they're making more money, they're happier. You've got multiple income streams, coming in. And so like now when I talk with agents, I talk with, yes, I want to be able to enhance their life if at all possible, but I'm hoping they come aboard with the feeling of giving back. In other words, find out what your passion is. What are you excited about? What do you like to give? Let's see if we can multiply that, make that bigger, so that you can affect not just, your lives, your kids' lives, your grandkids' lives, but you can affect the lives of many other people. And that's why I feel so exciting about, what I do, is because every day I don't know the person I'm going to meet that's going to light up and change their life.
Right.
That one person may lead us to thousands. And so it's exciting. It's a kind of a game for me. It's fun. It's like, okay, I'm not looking for everybody. I don't think I want to. I'm looking for people who are looking for us, for what we've got, that are positive, that have a great energy, that are a can-do attitude, not a cannot attitude, that are interested in helping people and look beyond themselves too, as well. I mean, sure, you want to take care of yourself. I totally get that. But, I like the idea of the collaboration, because we're all owners, because at EXP, we earn stock, in the company. People act differently when they're owners than they do when they're an employee or an independent contractor.
I agree with that.
When they're not doing anything, it's like, what are you going to build something for yourself and your family? Why are you building the dreams of someone else?
Right.
And people have never really had that concept explained to them. It's not in the business world. It's definitely not in the school system. As far as I know, I'd love to find one that was. And I think that's what motivate. My wife says, I need to find a hobby. Because I retired once before. I retired with Keller and stopped doing it. I gained 30 or 40 pounds.
Oh,
I
no.
got unhealthy. I wasn't doing anything. I really wasn't motivated. I didn't have. And she said, wait. And so she said, let's not do that again. Let's, if you're not going to do anything, you got to find a hobby. Well, my hobby seems to be finding people to be able to enhance their world.
Yeah.
And which is not a bad little hobby, actually, so people ask me, when are you ever going to stop? Well, if you totally love and are excited, I can do it seriously part-time, and I can do it through the internet from anywhere in the world. It doesn't really feel, constricting. It doesn't,
Right.
It's really, really fun. And it's just like you can play golf into your 90s. I can, hopefully I can talk to people well into my, 90s if that happens.
Yeah.
No,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
It's
really,
something you never necessarily need to retire from,
No, and I had no idea that I would have, 500 or 1,000 agents in South Africa, 5,000 or 6,000 agents in Canada, thousands of agents in Europe. I didn't know that. I just wanted to make $500,000 a year. I didn't, boom. And so I create a video on YouTube that if you go to YouTube and you search Rob Flick Wealth Chart Training, it's a 26-minute video on how to do exactly that, how to go to $500,000 a year in revenue share. It gives, what to do, what not to do, scripts, dialogues. I did it in my first year, because in my first year, I found 700 people. And people said, how did you do that? I mean, oh my God, the company was 7 years, you did it in 7 months. And it's like, how? And so I made this little, very hokey video, by the way. But
actually, I think it's awesome. I've seen it several times. We'll put a link to it in your description.
Okay.
So we'll put a link so people can just click on it.
It's certainly worth looking at.
Absolutely.
It's funny. But the ideas and the strategies and the mindset, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It's still very apropos.
Yeah, I don't think it's hokey at all. I feel like it's pragmatic. It takes this idea, Rob, that for a lot of people is ethereal, and it makes it real. Like, do this first, do this second, do this third, come back to this on a regular basis. You with me?
Yes.
It's a map. It's a map for success. It really is. I don't think there's anything hokey about it at all.
Oh, good. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much. You're my new best friend.
Oh, I love you. I love you, buddy. You know that. So full disclosure, we're in business together. You're my sponsor at EXP.
Yeah.
And I have loved every minute of it. You are so unbelievably supportive, and really you live what you talk. And people don't understand how rare that is. It's rare for people to care as much as you care about the people that you work with. And every single time I reach out to you, you immediately respond, and you immediately figure out a way to help me. And I could not thank you more. So what do you think the future looks like now going forward? What does the future look like for Rob Flick, and what does the future look like for EXP?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start with EXP. The future, what I think on EXP will be.
Okay.
I think it's a super, super great platform for real estate agents. Right now, it's the best on the planet. I've looked at just about everything, maybe everything. And it's an opportunity whose time has come. Yeah. And I could see.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.